The key to excellent use of AI in design is understanding design principles, design terms, design context, and a good understanding of the products you are designing for. ChatGPT or Deepseek can help with that. And then a creative mindset. I will walk you through designing a compelling website banner for my brand, TheAelStudio, using 50% design software like Canva and then 50% AI models like ChatGPT or Deepseek, Sora, which is also by ChatGPT, Clink AI, and Audio AI. The first thing I'll do is ask Deepseek to write me a detailed, direct, explicit design context or art direction for designing a web banner that will have an average of 95% conversion rate on impressions, based off trends it can find online and media research worldwide. I would also tell it to generate copies for me to use in this design based off its own research. Now that we have our design context sorted, the next is to head to Canva and then following the direction provided in this context that I just got out of DeepSeek, I might search for a template on Canva based on the direction that DeepSeek has given me, right? Using keywords that I find in this context to search for templates. I'll most likely find. Most of the time, I will find. So here I saw buzzwords in design like minimalism, gaming, futuristic looks, UGC, which is an acronym for user generated content, AR and VR, and a whole lot of other interesting trends in tech and design. But first, I picked two words, clay morphism and glass morphism. And then later on, UGC, which we would see how I get to use that word or that phrase or group of words later on. So yeah, try out as many words as possible. I couldn't find anything for clay morphism, but I did for glass morphism. Now that we have our templates that we're going to use, let's get on with designing. I have checked for the size of this template. It was about 1366 by 768 pixels, and that's perfect for a web banner. Eventually, I used this for my social media banners instead of a website. Next, I'll get rid of design items and pages that came with templates, which I don't need, and then I'll add mine. There are AI advanced functions for images on Canva, like removing background instantly, erasing text from an image, or upscaling images and so on. These functions are really good. They'll go a long way in easing up your design process. Next, got my copies out of Deepseek and pasted it into my canvas on Canva, pun intended. I want us to note something about the color representation in branding or designing media pieces. So if you see here, I'm trying to be stuck with my typical brand template for my brand, TheAelStudio, which is black and white. But the problem is black and white does not pass across the trustworthy emotion that we are aiming for, especially if you are using tech themes like I am doing here. So these color psychologies are true. If you want to know if they are, leave the page, come back to it, or maybe come back to where you might have used the design at a later time, and ask yourself, how did I just feel? You might get a fairly, especially if you have a mind like mine, you might get a fairly realistic assessment of the feeling it passes. So I had to change this up for a bluish theme later on. I'd head to Sora to generate the images suitable for my design. I love Sora because it can be quite adherent to the prompt it is given. Also, it generates great quality of images, even for the free version. I can generate 4K quality Sora by ChatGPT. I'll remix these images as much as I can to suit my design. Here is where I decided to use the UGC buzzword, which I had mentioned earlier. I also Googled up some other mentions I found in Deepseek's research, like IKEA's Roblox UGC content, which eventually led to me combining these insights with Sora's image generation power. I went with creating a Roblox style character of my picture. Pro tip on using images for design: always have a forward look and an understanding of when and how an image will be used or viewed by users. Have a sense of the experience it will create. As a graphic designer, understand that you are also creating experiences. So create experiences that people will love. For example, when I want to design a web banner, my understanding is that when the web banner is used, the viewer is probably on their device, whether laptop or mobile, and looking at the banner. And so the best view of the product showcase will be a frontal and clear overall view because it provides context in relation to the experience, right? To the current experience the viewer is having. The user is probably trying to have an understanding of what the website is about. So most likely attention span will be small. So an overly complex view may not do the trick. So take note, uh, this may not apply to all scenarios. For example, this particular scenario may be more attuned towards a um, minimal website. Right? I'm so excited about this character I just created. I might do some things with it maybe at a later time. Yeah, I'm sure this already provides context as to how you are going to be generating your images. Another nice trick is to get an amateur shot of the product and then improve it with AI, providing it with all the information you can about the final outcome you expect. Another case I might point out would be okay for the design of a roll-up banner. For most users that will be viewing a roll-up banner, they will most likely be standing looking at the design. So I like to think that an overarching feeling of what they are looking at serves as a more impressionable idea, an attention grabbing idea. Plus, if you have a roll up banner set up, there is a likelihood everyone there is already interested in what is going on in that environment. And so, the bigger aim here is to attract attention almost as much as keeping it. And so, here I would go for an aerial or an angled shot, either angled a bit to the top or low angled vantage shot. It might interest you to know that I used Canva to design this roll up banner. Don't think it's impossible to use Canva to create designs for printing. It is. Even for designs like roll up banners that is 33 by 81 inches in size. I designed this with Canva and my client loved it. So take bold steps today, try out new things, especially in the media world. It's a technologically driven industry. New, easier, and better ways to do things will continuously be created. So be humble and bold enough to try them. I think I'm going to teach the use of AI for video generation next. For the prompts I use for my AI generations, I'll find a way to link them or make it available for downloads. To you, my dear viewer, thank you for being a part of this. Till next time, it's Amoni for TheAelStudio.